In this video, we're going to be reviewing your open source projects. From popular projects that are looking for new maintainers, to people's GitHub profiles, to people's to-do apps, and to Discord bots and Python packages. Lots of awesome stuff. If you would like your open source project reviewed on my YouTube channel, in a YouTube video or a live stream, then head over to our GitHub organization, Eddie Jowd community, and go to the support repo and raise an issue, and we'll review your open source project. This way we can lower the barrier to entry for your open source projects so you can get more people involved and more people contributing to your open source project. And hopefully I can send some people your way from here too. Thank you to all the people who have submitted their projects for review. It's great to share these with the community. If this sounds exciting to you, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already and you're interested in open source, upskilling, growing your network so you can get the job and money that you deserve, then hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notified every time I post a video and go live. So let's get into it. I want to head to the bottom of this list and I want to pick the oldest one first, and we're going to work through these. So the first one is from Stephen, who's one of my GitHub sponsors. So thank you very much, Stephen. And Stephen has found this awesome project called Tailwind CSS class names. And it's based on the Tailwind CSS project. And I think it gives you autocomplete. Let's go have a look. Stephen's written some information here. And actually the project maintainer has also replied. So do go have a look at this. A link to this project will be in the description below. Here is this project. It's quite popular with over 200 stars and definitely in the double figures of forks, which is really good. And the project maintainer seems really involved and dedicated to this project, although they can no longer maintain it. That's why they're looking for other maintainers. So let's have a look how open source the open source project is. I really like it straight away. I see they're using a develop branch with 3 branches and 54 tags. So high number of tags is good, low number of branches is good, but not as low as 1. You do want to have a few branches. Let's have a quick peek to see what we've got. You've got a patch branch as well and a depender bot branch. Effectively, there's like 1 mainline branch at the moment, which is also fine. They are taking tags, so maybe there's no need for a main branch. There are some issues, which is great. You can see 24 closed issues and 9 open, so they are using the issues. And then there's labels like good first issue. A really nice way to get involved in an open source project is to filter by good first issue. And you can do this just by clicking on the label and automatically filter it down for you. And then there is an issue pinned at the top, which is looking for maintainers. So do have a look at this. And Stephen has replied and shared some information on this. It does look like the numbers of weekly downloads for this project on NPM is actually increasing, which is really, really good. Next, let's have a look at the pull requests. Okay, it's Dependabot, and then there's 29 closed. So the project maintainer is definitely on top of this, although there haven't been any pull requests since the end of October, which is quite a while. But maybe you can add some improvements to this project. There are some issues waiting for you to get involved in. No discussions yet, no GitHub actions. I wonder if they're using any other CI. Let's have a look. Do we see a Circle or Travis CI file? No. There are some badges, no CI badges. So if we look at package.json, I bet you there's something we can easily put into a GitHub action. So if we look at scripts, I always recommend to people for the first things to add to CI is look at what commands are in the script section in your package.json for a JavaScript project, and have a look, see what can be added to CI. Let's have a look. You've got type check that could be added. You've got a linter that could also be added. And you've got a build. Those could easily be added to a CI and they'll add value straight away. So people will know their PR or their pull request has successfully been built and there's no lint errors, is past the first stage and therefore can be more easily reviewed by the project maintainer and the community. You know what? Let's raise an issue here together now and just check there isn't one already. I don't think there is one. Let's have a look. New issue, lint and build commands could be added to a GitHub action. And you know what, let's just grab some code out of there as well to make it really obvious which parts we're talking about. So if we grab just this whole section, and I will delete some in a second. If I grab that, for example, the build and lint commands from scripts section. There we go. I cannot assign any labels to it because I'm not a project maintainer on this project, but we could submit a PR which adds the GitHub action, which is quite straightforward to do. Maybe we could do that on the live stream together. Right, next, let's have a look. It's got an about section. It's got a nice, short, concise description, and it's got a link to the NPM package. It's got topics underneath. There's a README, there's an MIT license, lots of releases, latest release was in October, which is fine. I don't think there's been many more commits since then. And if we go to the release, it tells us how many commits there have been since the last release or tag. So it says here, release on the 18th of October, and it says there have been 3 commits to develop branch since this release. But it's looking really good. I really like how there's a change log in the release, which most people skip, myself included, so apologies for that. But it's really nice. It says features and bug fixes and so on. You've got 10 contributors, which is really nice to see. So it's great to see lots of people contributing to this project. And it's mostly TypeScript with a little bit of JavaScript. What else do we see? The other thing I like to look at is the commits. There's 360 commits, but is there a standard for the commit style? And it looks like there is. So there's feature, chore, refactor. It looks like they're using conventional changelog for their commits, which is awesome. A recommendation I would have here actually is some commits are verified and some are not. I would try to be consistent, especially when they're from the same user. I'm guessing they've been done from different machines, or maybe one's in the browser and one's locally, and one of them isn't configured. Probably locally isn't configured to use the GPG key to be verified. Let's have a look what else we've got. So we've got Husky. That's really good. That helps things to work locally, make it easier for people to contribute. There's a pre-commit, which will do a lint, which is great. Let's have a look at the README. They've got some badges. I would like to see a CI badge on there, but obviously we need to add CI first. So that's something you all can do. And it's got a description, and it says, you know, why mess with it. I really like how it gives you the both sides of the story. And you've got edit on code sandbox, which is great. How to install, create a class. This is really nice. There's a React example as well. Really, really good. The only thing I would probably suggest maybe is change this static image into an animated GIF. And again, that's something that someone can contribute as a pull request. I just think animated GIFs just make it that much more engaging. But this project looks definitely really well maintained and has got an inclusive vibe to it. Another thing we can look at is at the pull requests. We could go to the closed pull requests and see which ones weren't merged and see if they were given a nice reason why they weren't merged. So here we go. So all those have been merged. This one wasn't merged. It was approved though, interesting. The project maintainer says this is very useful. The PR got closed by the author of the PR, so not by the project maintainer, and they've had a good chat about it. And you can see that although this got closed, it got closed in a friendly way and a positive way and with next step of action. So the project maintainer really wants people to contribute to this project. It's a really good way to check. There's nothing wrong with project maintainers also closing the pull request, but you need to check that it was closed in a friendly way rather than an aggressive way and someone doesn't want contributions. Because there are some projects that don't want contributions. I don't know why they would have it as open source, but you know, everyone to their own. But this is really nice. Another thing you can check is go to the Insights tab at the top and go to Community section and see. So this actually doesn't have a code of conduct. Another thing I would suggest is adding a code of conduct to this project. Contributing guidelines are missing and there's no issue and pull request template. I highly recommend adding a code of conduct. I think that's really, really important because when you enforce it, then there's a reason why you're enforcing it rather than it just being off the cuff opinion at the heat of the moment. So if you're watching and you want to get a green square for today, then raise an issue on the project. These are the green squares. You don't see it so much in dark mode, but raise an issue on this project, Tailwind CSS class names. I'll have a link below and suggest that they add a code of conduct. Remember, raising an issue also gets you a green square for your activity on GitHub. And it's important not just to chase the green squares, but to add value to the community. So if you see an issue already raised and you've got some feedback on that issue, some ideas, some suggestions, or if it's a defect, a bug, and you can validate that in a different browser or a different version of the technology, then add that comment in, add value. So when people are looking to hire other people, they're not just looking to see what code you can write, they're also seeing how you can collaborate with other people. Communication is really important. Remember, open source is not just about code, it's about collaboration and community. Next, this issue for open source review. It's got quite a few projects for review. It's got a GitHub profile, it's got an open source project, and it's also got a portfolio, although the portfolio doesn't have an open source link. So let's just jump straight into the GitHub profile. I do like looking at people's GitHub profiles because the way they've customized it is so interesting. Just do it later. That's quite funny. With Homer Simpson lying on the Nike. I'm not sure how allowed that is, but everyone to their own. So looking at your GitHub profile, you've got a customized GitHub profile, which is awesome. You've got a description of what you do. You've got the organizations you belong to, your email, your website link, and your Twitter link. And I think that's really useful and really important because straight away that stands out. You belong to loads of organizations, which again is really good to belong to a few organizations. As I mentioned before, if anyone wants to join our organization, just raise an issue on our support repo and there's an issue type of invite me to the organization and we'll send you an invite. This is really good. It shows that you're passionate about your GitHub profile because you've broken it into different sections. I really like this. I'm gonna steal some ideas for my project. Borrow some ideas for my GitHub profile. But what do? I love that. One line that describes me best. Again, it's great. Really, really like this. I really like the animated GIF, and it's also really useful that it's got a progress bar along the bottom. So it shows people how long they should watch for, and they know once the animated GIF is going to loop and reset and start again. But I really like that, that's great. Pinned repositories, lots of green squares. Not many code reviews, so I suggest maybe getting involved in code reviews because that's another skill that is really important. When I look at people's GitHub profiles to hire them for my clients or for myself, I'm not just looking at their commits. I'm looking how they raise issues and pull requests. Do they include all the information to make it easier for the rest of the team, the community, the project maintainer to understand? And I'm also looking how they review other people's work. Do they give constructive criticism in a friendly way? Because that's really important. The same message can be said in so many different ways and it can be taken in so many different ways. So it's really important to make sure that the message is really friendly as well as constructive. But this looks really good. There is another project link that you've included, so let's go have a look at that. Again, first impressions really good. Last contribution 20 days ago, that's great. Issues 25, pull request 1, so there's activity going on. You've got a description about the project, it's really concise, a link to go view it. Topics in the repo, README, license, no releases yet. I would suggest adding a release. And you've got multiple contributors, which is great. You've got a banner straight away at the top, which is really good. I like that. And then an animated GIF again of what's happening. So you can actually see how the project works, which is great. And a demo of what is generated from that. So straight away, people can see the result of the project without even going to the deployed version. So this gives them that encouragement to go. Have a Gitter channel, which is awesome too. And you talk about where and when and how this project was created. It was part of an open source contest. I'm guessing a hackathon, which is great. And you've included the link to the event and the vision. Really, really good. You talk about the tech stack, roadmap, and the resources. Brilliant. This is great. And how to run the project. Really, really nice README. Almost getting on the long side, so any more you add to it, you might want to add a docs folder and then link to it from the README, or have some smaller sections in the README, and if people want more details, they can go and get more details following the link into the docs folder. But it is looking really, really good. I'd rather have more information in the README than less, so this is great. So issues, this is brilliant. Lots of labels, really like this. This is first impressions, I think, wow, this is a great project. It's really good. You've really thought about it. I'm not sure what CH20 is, for example, but it looks really good. I would suggest potentially having the labels consistent. Some have a capital, some are lowercase, some have an underscore, some have spaces. I would definitely be consistent with whatever you choose, but this looks really impressive. And you've mentioned easy or hard, beginner. Is easy and beginner kind of the same? Is there duplication there? I'm not sure. It's just a question that I have. But this looks great. And you've got a pull request and it says changes have been requested. So it's been reviewed by the project maintainer. I really like that. And 4 out of 14 tasks have been done. 46 closed pull requests. This is great. So a lot of things going through pull requests. And again, as I mentioned before, I always look at the closed pull requests that haven't been merged. Were they discussed in a friendly way why they were closed? And it has. They've asked for put in the latest changes and they've discussed and agreed to open a new pull request, which is fine. But definitely a lot of collaboration going on there, which is the important part. No GitHub actions yet and no projects. Let's have a look at the insights and the community. Look at that, all green ticks. Great example of what to do. And you may think, oh, like the issue template is too hard for me to make it all now. I need to really think about it and plan it and so forth. You don't, just start, create the issue template file, the pull request template file, and put one line in there. Creating the file with one line adds so much value because people might be nervous about creating a new file in your project. They don't know where to put it. They don't know what to call it. Whereas if you've got the file already there, people can then add more lines to it. So just create the file, add one line, and then improvements will come to that. So this is great, looking really, really good. Let's have a look at some other suggestions. So next thing I'll look at probably is the commits. Do they follow a certain convention? Unfortunately, they don't. I would recommend using conventional changelog. I think that would make it a lot easier and cleaner to again create change logs, people understand what's going on. But otherwise, this is looking really good. So we notice there's no CI. Let's have a look in package.json. Is there something that we can add? If we go to the script section, you got start, you got build, test, and inject. So we could add the build to CI, and then therefore at least we know the project builds successfully every time. I recommend having the code of conduct MD file in capitals. I think that's what's suggested by GitHub. And also with the pull request template, I would suggest moving that to the .github folder as well. You've got contributing in capitals, which is great. So if code of conduct can be the same, I think it would be a lot more consistent. But this is looking really good project. Let me leave some comments in the issue. Now we're going to review a to-do app. First impressions, changes from 4 days ago, it's looking active. It's got a one-line description about the project, which is great. Lots of topics, maybe a little bit too much for my liking. I'd probably remove a couple of lines from that. That's just a personal opinion. I think there's no license and no release. We can actually go to the Insights tab, as you've seen me do a few times, community, and have a look. So there's no code of conduct, no contributing file, no license, and no issue and pull request template. So I would suggest doing some of those. There is a VS Code folder here with settings. I don't know if that should be committed or not. It just seems a bit surprising to see an IDE because other people might be using WebStorm or Atom or something else. So that's why I just think that's a bit surprising to see that. You got 10 contributors, it looks good. Using all contributors as well. I've started using that a bit less personally because GitHub now shows the contributors on the right hand side. I know with all contributors you can specify what the contribution has been, if it's been docs or something like that. So that's just a personal preference. I've started using that a bit less. But it looks good. It's great that you want to give feedback to people who contribute to your project, so that's awesome. You talk about what the project is, what you can do with it, so the features and the features for the future, and how to build it, and then you've got the contributors underneath, which is great. That's really good. What I would like to see is a screenshot. I think that would be really useful to see a screenshot of that. And if you want to go even further, an animated GIF would be awesome. You do have issues, which is great, with different labels, which is awesome. No open pull requests, which is fine, but you've got closed pull requests, so it does show that you are using the pull request section, which I think is brilliant. No GitHub actions yet, so what I would suggest is let's have a look at your package.json and let's see if we can easily add CI to your project. On the script section, you've got a build. So I would suggest adding build to your CI. Therefore, each time there is a change by you or someone in the community raising a pull request, it builds the project. It just checks that it still builds successfully and still works. Later on, you can add more things like linter, etc. and so on, but at least get started with CI in your project. 220 commits. There's a lot of history to this project, which I think is great. I would potentially suggest using a standard for commit messages like conventional changelog, just to make it easier for people to see, to filter for bugs, for features, for chores, etc. and so on. But it's looking really good. Let's have a quick peek at how it looks because there is no screenshot. I will do review this project. Add. Nice, animated as well. I will edit this video. And then what options do you get? Star, edit, delete. Oh, what happens if I star it? Appears at the top, very nice. Take it off, awesome. Got settings as well. Dark mode, very nice. Small text mode, very, very nice. Really, really like that. So definitely add a screenshot to the README because I feel that it looks great. You've got dark mode. Imagine having an animated GIF that goes from light mode to dark mode. People will love that and they'll want to get more involved in your project. It's that whole wow factor, but it looks really good. Just a few minor tweaks to make some more improvements to make it more open sourceness. I hope you enjoyed those reviews. Don't forget you can submit your open source project for reviews from the open source perspective on my YouTube channel and hopefully get more people looking at your projects and getting involved in your projects. Don't forget to follow me on GitHub. GitHub is a social coding platform, so you can follow me on GitHub and see what open source projects I'm contributing to. And give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe below and hit the bell button to get notified each time I go live and post a video. My channel is about open source and getting you into open source so you can get the job, money and clients that you deserve. I'll see you in the next video.